So I hope the marathon of presentations yesterday's for those of you who could attend were helpful in educating you on the contemporary architectural use of terracotta, the material, its performative qualities, and its aesthetic qualities. For those joining us, for those of you that are joining us only today, a brief overview of what the workshop is. It was conceived as a design residency for architectural firms to educate architects on designing with terracotta through the fabrication of actual prototypes. The residency introduces participants to the material's properties, its fabrication and manufacturing processes, and explorations of digital and analog techniques to design in a contemporary way with this ancient material. For this year's workshop, we began 6 months prior to this conference, and during that period, design teams worked collaboratively with Boston Valley Terracotta and researchers and students from the University at Buffalo to develop their experimental designs. To get our day started, I'd like to introduce Robert Shibley, the Dean of the School of Architecture and Planning at the University at Buffalo. Bob also serves as a campus architect and is a senior fellow of the UB Regional Institute. In June of 2014, the American Institute of Architects awarded Bob the prestigious Thomas Jefferson Award for a Lifetime of Achievement, advancing planning and design excellence at UB in the city of Buffalo and the Niagara region. Bob has been a mentor to me during my tenure at the University of Buffalo and a steadfast supporter of the workshop since its inception. So please join me in welcoming Bob Shibley to get us started.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the University at Buffalo and to our building, Hayes Hall, which is one of 5 structures that we occupy when we are occupying campuses again. I want to give a robust thank you to Omar in particular, and Mitch and John Kraus for their collaboration over these many years making ACAW possible. It wouldn't have happened without them, clearly, and it's been an extraordinary experience. For me, it's been a profound learning experience. One of the more pleasant days I had was yesterday, listening to the featured speakers. It was, for me, a wonderful show, and I give you kudos across the board. It was inspiring and demonstrates again the value of these kinds of convenings. I look forward to today and the 9 teams that have been working with us. Next slide, please. You know, last year we were in this facility and we heard a fair amount of activity and buzz for the better part of a week as we were fully engaged in completing the 6 months plus of fabrication work. This year it's profoundly quiet. But next slide, we are a resilient group. I understand there's close to 700 registrants. We're still watching the counter click up right now. And in that resilience, we also, I think, have continued to actually advance and maybe even improve on the model of kind of both curriculum delivery and a collaboration in this effort. It brings us a new batch this year of entirely new products, prototypes, lines of research, and of course, publications. Next slide. All of this work is not 5 years in, but actually 9 years in for the School of Architecture and Planning, when we began to explore the use of digital fabrication and its interface with the kind of mold making process at Boston Valley Terracotta. So that partnership with industry at Boston Valley has been enormously important academically for us, I think, and productive for John and his team at Boston Valley Terracotta. Next slide, please. We've enjoyed enormously the opportunity to work with shop architects, Cohn Pedersen Fox, Pelly Clark, Pelly Architects, Studios Architecture, and here you see some images from 2019. We've also added a new partner, next slide, from the Sustainable Manufacturing and Advanced Robotics Technologies Community of Excellence, which is a multi-million-dollar 5-year plus sort of startup which has now led to the creation of new facilities in our School of Engineering and Applied Sciences and in the School of Architecture and Planning. And that laboratory and that work was also co-led by Omar Khan. You can imagine my sadness as he introduces himself from Carnegie Mellon today. He's been our chair and a leader in our smart facility, sustainable manufacturing, advanced robotics, for its full tenure. And we would not be where we are without Omar's leadership. A large part of what we see in much of the work that happens here starts with a kind of premise that you can't do that. You just can't do that. And inevitably, over the course of 6-7 months and prototype testing and experiencing and exploring, we find out that indeed you can, or maybe you can. And that's the promise of ACAW, and I think the result of ACAW. Next slide, please. Next slide again. So in addition to the work of all of the various professional teams, UB itself, under Laura Garofalo's leadership, has also been working hard to produce materials and fabrications. It's come up with the an amazing family of products that are bioclimatic design-inspired terracotta shingles, applications in glazing and in iridescence, and innovative applications with our water jet cutter and standard terracotta components. This project in particular will be featured soon in a forthcoming technology, architecture, and design journal issue on Matter. Next slide, please. The 13 students that worked with us this year are added to a cadre of students now over 9 years in our collaboration with John. Some of those students are actually working now as full professionals at Boston Valley Terracotta, and I think leading some of the innovation that happens there. Next slide, please. It is the student experience, of course, as dean that impresses me a lot. And again, I want to say that Omar has come to us as a scholar and as a sort of strategist with regard to how we're going to advance this industry partnership. But he also comes with an attitude about how best to think about the student experience in this making. And it's been a fantastic lift for the focus on tangible, hands-on construction, and in this case, of course, in terracotta in particular. Next slide, please. Students are fearless. That's scary, but it's also a wonderful thing to watch. Next slide, please. Some of the most important knowledge capital generated by ACAW is in the form of fabrication and design-assisted manufacturing and technologies. Next slide, please. And that work includes the kind of water jet technologies, the kiln work, the custom-coded design software that explores the craft of CNC fabrication. Last year, one of our participating teams, Clark Pelly and Studio Architecture, created a robot arm prototype used to sculpt extruded terracotta. Next slide, please. I want to next slide. I want to thank you again for joining us. Thanks for this opportunity to welcome you to the School of Architecture and Planning at the University of Buffalo. We look forward to the show today and the demonstration of these projects in process from the teams assembled. And we look forward to many more years of this partnership and ACAW. And again, a final and robust thank you to Omar, to Mitch, and to John Kraus for their work.
Thank you, Bob, for that introduction and getting us started.